be exactly what you want to be without all of the fear around you. We have to stand up together.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Chairman Project with Jason Sisneros, where today we're going to be talking about a few myths in business, a few myths that are costing people a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of heartaches, just a lot of wasted time. This week I've been really dealing with a lot of projects coming my way. Everybody knows about what's going on in the economy and whatnot. And so I've got a lot of projects coming to me personally for either investment or, having my company, Anton J, help them with infrastructure setup, all the stuff that we talk about here. And so it's been a really busy week. And one of the things that I figured out this week, which was a reminder to me, should be a reminder to everybody, which is kind of why I just talk about what happened during my week and the stuff that I was focused on for the week here every single week, is that your time really is the most valuable asset that you have. And as I'm wading through the tremendous amount of opportunity, and there's some great opportunities that are out there. I want to be make sure that I show my gratitude for the amount of projects that come my way and for the quality of the projects that come my way, because there's some really, really great ones. But the more that you learn from this show, the more that you learn about these strategies, about the systems that we build up. I was talking to my wife and I said, one of the things that I'm really, really grateful for is the amount of time that I'm able to save myself by having really solid conversations, by having really solid systems in place to be able to vet and to be able to dig through what is a BS project, somebody who wants to just waste your time, somebody who's looking to get something for nothing, those types of things. And so all of these strategies that you're learning week to week with me, make sure that you apply that in the projects that you're dealing with. Okay. And then we're going to get into some myths here, but one of the myths that's not on my list today that I really wanted everybody to start focusing on is that just because somebody says that there is a good idea or a great project to be working on doesn't mean that it is a great project worthy of your time. And a lot of times when you are in a situation where you're either desperate, stuck, your money is not as great as you want to, you get sucked into projects that are going to just waste your time because you haven't vetted it, because you really desperately want that thing to work for you. And so as we go through these myths today, just kind of look through the opportunities that you're playing with today, the opportunities that are in front of you, the projects that are in front of you, the people that you're dealing with. And just ask yourself, is this something that I so desperately want to have happen or to have work that I am foregoing the due diligence and the intellect necessary to tell me that if I dug into this and I really paid attention and I looked at all of the red flags, that this is something that I would tell somebody else that they're crazy for paying attention to, investing time, energy, effort into, right? It's just a great way to clear your plate. Every once in a while, you just have to clear your plate and you have to say, these opportunities that are in front of me, right, are not going to get me where I want to go, right? We've vetted it. We've spent some time. We ask ourselves, there was one really great question that I was taught by one of my mentors a long time ago. When a project that comes across your desk that is too good to be true, you just have to ask yourself one question. Why me, right? Why me? And that eliminates about 80% of those, because you realize, oh, the reason that it's me is because I'm the next sucker in line. It's a really simple sentence for you to be able to come to that conclusion. Better to come to that conclusion in your own head than to have it show up in real life, because there is an expense. There's a money expense, there's a time expense, and more importantly, there's a reputation expense. The things that I get involved in, I have to look at it from a long time. I mean, 52. I'm 52 years old. I don't want to have to rebuild my reputation by making a stupid decision based in greed, desperation, or ignorance. And neither do you, right? Neither do you. So so let's jump in to the concept today. Is as I'm working with a lot of different business owners, my wife and my wife and I are building our own companies. I'm partnered on different things. She's partnered on different things. The different projects, companies, the new brand that's coming out, Built to Exit. Which, by the way, holy crap! I cannot wait to reveal B2X to the rest of the world. It is unbelievable. Like really, really exciting, sexy. Again, most of you that know me and have followed me, I don't put much time, effort, or energy because most of my businesses that I've been involved in, I've bought from somebody else. There was already a brand in place, and all I was doing was taking it on, putting my systems and processes in place, optimizing cash flow, prepping it up for exit, and then moving on to my next project. So brand building has been, it's been less in my world because the brand was already built in most of these instances. Well, it's been a couple of times in my life when I've actually built a brand of my own, where I've put the time, effort, and energy into it. And in my younger days, I didn't really understand the power of brand. I didn't understand the thought process that should go into it. So as evidenced by my very first logo that I ever did was for Jason Sisneros. And that was just a simple J and an S. And I was like, yeah, let's slap that together and go to town. Let's go do some business. And so later on, I learned, some other tools. I built out a brand that I was really proud of at the time called the Bald Avenger Show. Put a lot of time, effort, and energy into that logo and the colors and the brand. And this time with Built to Exit, because it really is the Built to Exit system, which is at growthcourse.com right now. The Built to Exit system that we've installed in all the companies that I've ever bought and owned and sold, and the ones that we've been consulting with Anton J, for the past over a decade now. Really is the culmination, right? It's the culmination of my greatest defeats, my greatest successes, my best thinking, the best thinking of thousands of interactions with business owners, the culmination of hundreds of business turnarounds, dozens and dozens of my own business building and selling that has culminated into B2X. And I'm helping obviously we're still hyper focused on SMEs, small and mid-sized enterprises. For those of you that are new to the show, there's 33 million of us. I'm on a crusade for us to build a community to do business with each other, stop funding unethical capitalist companies like Amazon, and we could go on the list. But ultimately, we do 60% of the GDP, we do 60% of the hiring, and I want to make sure that we stay together, that we keep that moving forward, because that is economic freedom to all of us, the opportunity of it for our children and for future generations to come. And so that's the crusade that I'm on, why I'm still in this business, and on the way towards building that community that will have a say in Washington, D.C. Remember, back during COVID, all of us got called non-essential. If you're a small business owner, a mid-sized company owner, which is 0 employees to 499, that's a designation. If you were one of them, you got called non-essential. And you had no voice, right? This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. You had no voice. I had no voice. Nobody was standing up, stepping up, and presenting a case for us to say, how in the hell is 60% of the GDP non-essential? That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. 60% of the hiring. How do you shut that down and allow unethical capitalists? Oh, I know how. They give you stock options. They give you insider trading. Oh, you get to get rich as a politician I get it now. Okay. So rather than complaining about it, rather than just doing, little posts and saying blah, 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 those of you that know me know I hate bullies. And I looked at it as a form of bullying, right? Rather than just complain about child trafficking, my wife and I put on bulletproof vests and we go out and we rescue kids, right? We raise money, we spend our own money, we invest those type of things. Domestic violence, rather than just putting a little post out, we get involved. We pay rent. We help people out of those situations. Rather than worrying or complaining about people starving, I went to work with an organization called Feed a Billion, right? This is the action step of us coming together in the Built to Exit community, right? The Built to Exit community is a bunch of business owners. And so in order for us to come together, in order for us to execute, in order for us to keep this alive, in order for us individually to be able to get better, I wanted to start looking for the next few weeks. I wanted to go through some myths, right? Some lies, some beliefs that are unhelpful for us in the business community to believe. And the ones that I came up with, again, a lot of you that have been with the show, sometimes I do a segment called Jason GPT versus Chat GPT, and if I have time at the end of the show, I'll go through what Chat GPT. But these three didn't come up in Chat GPT. They came up because of 20 plus years of business experience, getting my ass kicked, succeeding, having troubles with employees, having great employees, having debt issues to having, to deal with excess profits, like all, the whole spectrum of real world business interaction. And so these are the three that I came up with, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit. In the shape and the form and the concept that in the world of business, believing in myths can be the difference between success and failure, right? And so the three myths that I'm going to come up with, I'll list them out for you as you're taking notes, and then we'll go back and fill in the blanks. But myth number one is that I will sell my company when it's time to retire. Okay, that's myth number one. Myth number two is I am reinvesting in my business, and I can hear the collective grin on the face of any business owner because I've heard this statement so many times that it's one of the ones. I almost put it as number one, but I wanted to get this in the right order here. But I'm reinvesting in my business. We're going to come back to that, but I can feel the collective grin amongst my brothers and sisters that are business owners. And myth number three is I'll get to it later. Okay, these are the three myths, and we're going to deal with. I've got a list of about 21 of them, but to do a show and throw all of them in there is just going to overwhelm you. So I want to, in the context as we go through this, I just want you to put yourself in the context. My show is always directed to the one that's listening, the one that wants to modify your behavior, the one, as Keith Cunningham says, business is not a bathrobe, one size does not fit all. These are, the world of business can be completely and totally modified and molded to your specific outcome. We believe three really solid things here at Built to Exit and on the Chairman Project podcast. One is that you got to know crystal clear where you are. And by the way, those of you that have subscribed to builttoexit.biz and you've put your email address in, you've been getting my show notes every single week, where with a edited podcast on video, you get to see my pretty face. You're getting that in your email every week. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback that is helping people revisit what we talk about here on the weekend, and then be able to adjust and put it into their businesses throughout the week. It's like a free master class every week, if you will. But those of you that have put your email address in there, reach out on that platform or just on jasonsisneros.com. And reach out for the 50 question assessment, right? And that's a where you are right now assessment. So the three things that we believe. One is you got to know where you are. We built a 50 question assessment for you to be able to determine that, and scored it and sort of gave you some hints of what you should do in those areas. The second thing is your end game. And we're about another, I think by next week, this time next week, we'll have the end game calculator built out for you, which is basically where you're headed. Know where you are, where you're headed. Your end game is your exit from your business. Exit means a lot of things. It means I want to have all my time back. I love my business. I want to stay in it, but I don't want to have to be needed 100% of the time so I can go do other things. All the way to harvesting your wealth, right? Harvesting your wealth through the sale of your business. And so you got to know where you are, where you're going, and in the middle, how to structure and sequence how many assets that you have to build to get to a place where you can exit. These are 3 really solid things that we believe here, okay? And so my understanding is that if you're following me, if you're watching these, if you're showing up on the live show on Twitter every single week, is that you have come to grips with the idea that your business will transform for you when you understand that you're playing it for an end game. You're playing it to exit. I don't care where you are. I don't care what you think about your business. It's an awareness that I had to be taught that every single business that is out there needs to be built to exit, whether you stay in it or you don't. Because the principles to exit are the same principles to optimize profit. What does that mean? Make the most money possible that you can take off the table, put in your pocket, pay for your retirement, pay for your home, pay your bills, reinvest, give to charity, all those things that you want to do. Your company has to be built in such a way to optimize profit. Otherwise, it's just frustrating. And it gets to a place where it just goes out of business, which is what happens to 95% of companies. I'm talking to the 5%ers here. I'm talking to the 1%ers, the 5% of businesses that don't fail, and the 1% of businesses over the grand scope and scheme of things that ever get to exit. Hi, my name is Jason Sisneros, founder and chairman of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has helped hundreds of clients and thousands of growth course students fix, scale, and successfully master their businesses. To put it simply, my team and I help people turn their businesses into machines that create cash. To better support startups and other mid-sized companies, my team and I developed a phenomenal and comprehensive digital growth course where I poured decades of business ownership and know-how into 20 hours of content. This course is not easy. It's not an easy pill, but demands real work from you to implement the blueprints that I've developed. We know that reaching financial freedom is never easy, but totally worth it. Go to growthcourse.com right now to learn more about the course and get started on your business journey today. It's not a mystery, right? There is methodology, there is a system. Everybody say after me, I need a system. All right, so let's jump back to myth number 1. Myth number 1, I will sell my company when it's time to retire. Now, I did some research on this for the book that's going to be coming out in November, the Built to Exit book that's coming out in November, maybe February, but whenever it's coming out. But I did some research and I found some interesting data, okay? Now, here's what I want to make sure that we understand when I say data, this means that it was measured. This is not an opinion. This is not a guru trying to sell you something. This is not any of the bullshit marketing that goes on out there. Data is basically due diligence, which you know that I highly advocate you do before you make any decision with your business. Do your due diligence, okay? And so when you're doing your due diligence, you're going to come up and be confronted with facts that may bounce up and irritate your previously held belief systems, right? And so here's a couple of things. I will sell my company when it's time to retire. This is widely held amongst the people that I have worked with over the last couple of decades in my career, including yours truly, including myself, right? So here's a couple of facts that you need to understand. Only 30% of business owners even have a sketched out exit plan. Let that one sink in for just a second. Only 30% of business owners have a written out, defined exit plan. We talk about it here all the time. We call it end game, right? That is your first level of exit. It's just your first level of success where you go, okay, now I'm not completely dependent on me going to work every single day. My business is cranking. I've got a management team in place. I've got blah, 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 blah. I've got some of these things paid off. I've got enough money coming in the door that I could live for 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, right? An exit plan, which is just a fancy word and a fancy concept, which is to describe your end game. So less than 30%. Now start to see how these things line up with the fact that 95% of companies fail, less than 7% of companies ever sell. 95% of companies fail, and less than 7% ever sell to someone else and harvest their wealth, right? So there's also so that's a shocking, two shocking numbers that I found. Number one, that only 30% of business owners have an exit plan. And even when I read that, I think to myself, that is a very generous number. Very generous. So 7% of companies listed ever sell. Most companies don't have a continuity system. All right. What do I mean by continuity system? This means that you've gone through your business, you've optimized all of your assets, you've optimized all of your systems, all of your processes, and it can go on. Continuity means it can run autonomously without you forever, if necessary. Most of these businesses do not have a continuity plan in place. They don't have a continuity system. Everybody say, I need a system, right? The system is the thing that runs the machine called your business that produces excess cash for you to be able to live on, for you to be able to pay your employees, for you to be able to grow, for you to be able to do the things that you want to do, for you to be eventually to be able to reach your end game. That's what a continuity system is. And unless you have a continuity system in place, you will never be able to retire. Remember, this is a myth. I will sell my company when it's time to retire. That is a low likelihood, very low likelihood. Some of them are even the ones that in that 7% that do sell are kind of lucky. I would say that there's about 3% that do it on purpose with a system that they start today and they work towards that date. And then it's an inevitability because that's what they're building for. Most people are building to make sure that they can cover the expenses of this month. So, here's another fact that I found. Business owners, because they don't have a retirement plan, retire far later. I had 2 or 3 different research papers that I found that had 2 or 3 different numbers, but the earliest that a business owner retires is right around 70, and it goes up to 76, 77, 78, okay? Which means basically what we're talking about is that people run their businesses until they die, right? Until death do we part should not be your business motto. Until death do we part should not be your business motto. It should be for your marriage, right? For your kids, right? For the things that you're passionate about. It should not be for your business. So provide action. So for this, we got to look at what the solution is. I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the solution. Okay. Let's jump into myth number 2, right? Myth number 1, remember, is I'll sell my company when it's time to retire. And this is very, very similar, but extremely important for you to think about. The myth is I am reinvesting into my business. I have heard this comment more than pretty much any other comment that I've ever come across in business. Is that I am reinvesting, Jason. I'm reinvesting back into my business. Now, it sounds to the untrained ear and to the immature business owner, or to anybody that you're saying it to, it sounds kind of fancy, right? It sounds kind of Well, you're running a business. You're telling me that you're reinvesting in it. It's a plausible myth. It's a plausible thought process because you hear it so often and you hear it from somebody who actually owns a business and is actually doing something. And so very seldom is it ever challenged to the level that I'm challenging it right now. And you need to be challenged on these beliefs because they're going to keep you broke. There is in this term, right? For you to be investing, let's go through some of the common things that you need to understand when you're investing in anything. And this will help you when you're thinking that you're reinvesting into your business, right? A plan for repayment with interest must be present in any investment. The last time you reinvested into your business, did you have a plan for repayment with interest? Yes or no? If it's a no, you're not reinvesting in your business. 2, a clear time frame for repayment. Okay? 2, a clear time frame for repayment. Did you have a plan for repayment with interest? And did you have a clear time frame for repayment? Number 3, because on both sides, if you're reinvesting into your business, you are both the borrower and the investor. You're both the borrower and the investor. Did you put together specific use of funds to be able to go, I'm in my one hat, I'm borrowing, and then I'm going to go over here on the other side, almost like a split personality. I'm going to put the hat on and I'm going to say, okay, what are you going to use the funds for? So you're talking to yourself, and there is a specific use of funds. If you're going to reinvest in your business, you should write a business plan and then put it in front of yourself or somebody else and say, hey, would you invest in this? Would you put these monies toward this? And the 4th piece that should be present in any investment is a guarantee against loss. Some asset that's put up, right? A home, a retirement fund, a car, something that guarantees that note that you are making to yourself. So if you don't do that, right? If you're not doing that, then you're not really reinvesting into your business. You're making uneducated, frivolous, or undisciplined spending decisions. Be crystal clear about that. Uneducated, frivolous, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just saying, because I did this myself. As I look back when I was telling myself I was reinvesting back into my business, I was making uneducated decisions with my money. Uneducated spending, not investing. I was making frivolous decisions, trying to justify fancy shit that I didn't need, a car, maybe a truck that was more expensive than I needed, a trip that I wanted to go on because of my mental health, right? Whatever it was. Undisciplined means that it was not tied to any return on that investment. And that's dangerous, okay? Here's why. And here's the point. You got to take money off the table. Okay? I'm going to come back and we'll go through that a little deeper here in just a second. The third myth, and this one is probably one of the most damaging, is basically the description is, I'll get to it later, but it's procrastination. It's procrastination. You know that you have to have legal stuff in place. You know you have to have a succession plan in place. You know that you have to have a reinvestment or a use of operating capital or building back into your business. You know that you have to do these things. You know you should you should figure out how to build a system in your business. You know you should be building to exit your company. You know all of these things, but it comes back to, I'll get to it later. And we all have, to me to this day, I have those instances where I'm like, I'm just going to get to it later, right? My wife and I will get to the end of a day and we're like, okay, well, we've got these 2 or 3 things to work on and blah, 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 blah. And we're like, you know what? We'll get to it tomorrow. And we pop on Netflix and jump in bed and snuggle instead of doing the work. It happens to everyone. It's not a shaming issue. It's just that you have to understand that the business, if you're going to retire with it, if it's going to take care of your family, if you're not going to pass on a bunch of debt and mess, if something happens to you, death or incapacitation wise, you've got to have this thing set up so that it doesn't do more damage than it does good, so that it doesn't become a drain on you, so it doesn't go bankrupt, so that all of the things, the pain that I went through in my bankruptcies was unbelievable. The embarrassment, right? The loss, the not having a home, the not knowing when my next meal was coming, the failing of my children at the time, the divorce that I went through, all of that stuff is so incredibly painful that's why I do the stuff that I do. That's why I'm so blatant with you. That's why I'm so crystal clear with you. I'm not trying to gild the lily so that you just buy something from me. I'm saying these are have real world impacts. Are you a business owner that's looking to build your company into a machine that creates cash? I'm Jason Sisneros, chairman and founder of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has turned around, merged, or prepped for sale hundreds of companies just like yours. I'm best known as the architect when it comes to fixing and building companies across the globe. My experience comes from owning and exiting over 20 of my own companies successfully. It's that real-world experience that I've converted into the ultimate blueprint that has saved and grown my clients' businesses. If you're tired of getting bad advice, have bought all the books, all the coaching programs, and still aren't seeing the success that you were promised, it might be time to work with a team that has actual experience and a track record of success. Please scan the QR code or visit antonj.com to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if we can help you reach your outcomes. That's antonj.com, ANTONJAE.com. So I'll get to it later is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make because you know tomorrow never comes. The only thing that happens is right now. So I'll get to it later. If you don't have a written strategy, then life is dictating the direction of your business. There's lots of life coaches and lots of people, there's people on this platform that are great life coaches. That's not what I do. What I'm saying in your business, if even in your life though, my point is that if you don't have that with a life coach or somebody that's who's coaching you or advising you in your general life, much less your business life, life will dictate the direction of your business. Is what happened exactly with my first 3 companies. Making lots of money, great, blah, 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 blah. Spending it frivolously, all of the stuff. I'll get to it later, right? I'm reinvesting in my business by buying a boat, right? I'm reinvesting in my business by having big boxing parties that everybody got drunk at, right? I'll sell my company when it's time to retire. It didn't happen. I'll get to it later. What happened was that my business was not prepared. I didn't have systems. I didn't have a way to scale up in good times and a way to scale down in bad times. The economy happened and I went out of business. Boom, boom, boom. 3 businesses right in a row with dominoes. Super painful. And I took nothing off the table. I had no planning in place. I had no systems. I had no way. I was caught with my pants down. So, let's see. So, if you don't have a written plan in place, you're going to have to, you don't have a start, a finish, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, right? You don't have a start, a finish, and a measurement tool in place, then you're just wandering in the dark, right? The greatest analogy is a pilot flying blind. You don't want to fly a business blind. You're going to run into a mountain at some point, and that is going to cause the death of your business or at least extreme injury. Right? So later generally never shows up, especially when you're putting off the building of systems and processes for your own business. So you got to start taking action. All right. So let's go through these 3 and let me give you a little bit of what to do, right, about them, right? So I'll sell my company when it's time to retire. Let's address that. Build your exit strategy now. Okay, very simple advice today. If your business is going to be the thing that you are planning on helping you retire, then you need to build what that exit plan looks like right now. That's your end game planning. Build it today. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? We've got an end game calculator, but you don't need that to put together a basic end game. What it will do is it will become like a magnet, just like right now, wasting and having money spurt out all of these different holes is being magnetized by your lack of discipline, your lack of end game. It's being spent on, this thing pops up on Instagram, you spend here, you go there, you're like, oh, I'll get that thing, blah, blah, blah. I buy a car I don't really need. All of these things, that is because you have undirected intention. Your end game magnetizes those and plugs those profit leaks, because it's going to go into an end game bank account, right? It's going to go to hiring your next person, which is an accelerator of your profits. It's going to start magnetizing your excess cash to go towards creating your freedom. Okay, that's for what you do about myth number one. Myth number two, the myth of I am reinvesting in my business. You've got to make a specific plan to take money off the table, right? Take money off the table. There's a lot of different things that we talk about in the growth course, right? Which is the build to exit system. There's a lot of different things that we use for use of capital, use of cash, et cetera, et cetera. But right now for today, the very simple thing that I want you to do is make a plan for every sale that you make, right? Or every week that goes by, whatever it is for you in your business, only you know. You know that you could take $5 off the table. You know that you could take $1,000 off the table. You know you could take $5,000 off the table. You know you could take $20,000 off the table and put it in your retirement account. Put it in your end game account. Take it off the table, because you never know what's going to happen, and you'll be surprised at how quickly those accounts build up. You'll be very surprised at how quickly you have money that stacks up on the side. Stop using the excuse of that I'm reinvesting into my business. Now, if you do reinvest in your business, go through that system that I said. Make a plan for repayment with interest. Put a clear time frame on that repayment. Make a case, a specific use case for how to for borrowing the money from yourself. You've got to make that case, right? You got to make that case to yourself. And if you can't convince yourself, then don't reinvest it. Take it off the table. And then also put something up, a guarantee against loss. And then number three, I'll get to it later. You've got to have some accountability here, right? This is why this group here, they show up live on Saturday on Twitter at the Jason Sisneros on x.com to the Chairman Project podcast every single Saturday. That's a community of people, right? It ebbs and flows on who shows up on Saturday, but they're always here. They're coming back. They're listening to the replay. You can get to know them. Find an accountability partner in your own life. Hire a coach if you need to that's going to help you hold yourself accountable to your journey through this process. Right? This is today's message, not super exciting, but incredibly powerful, that you overcome these myths, that you stop lying to, because all a myth is a lie that you tell yourself that has become a belief. Right? That's what a myth is. A myth is a lie you tell yourself long enough that it becomes a belief. And there is no solid foundation in a myth or a belief that is incorrect for you to build on. There is no building on the sand of a myth. Everything that you stack on top of it will fall down over time. It will fail. You will go out of business. These are the facts. So build on solid ground. Build on solid ground. So that's it for this week. Those 3 myths. Okay, I'll repeat them for you just one more time so you get it. Do not believe the myth that you're going to sell your company when it's time to retire if you don't have a plan. Don't believe that you're reinvesting in your business unless you have a business borrowing, a repayment, a time frame, a specific use of funds, and a guarantee of loss, and a document that you have decided to write with you, yourself, your wife, whoever's in your business with you. And 3, the myth of I'll get to it later. Procrastination is a trap. It's a trap. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. And how you avoid that is by putting yourself in this community, connecting to somebody in this community, and making sure that you let people know where you're headed. People that are on your level that are doing things that you're doing, which there's a lot of them here in our community, right? That are doing what you're doing. They want that accountability, but they may not trust the people around them. But they can trust you because you're going through and doing the same thing. You're risking the same things. You're investing the same things. You're taking your game to the next level. Hold each other accountable. And if nothing else, hold yourself accountable. Okay? So that's pretty much it for this week. We're going to go through a few more myths next week that'll be super helpful. And probably for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be going through this process of busting out myths. We've got some speaking engagements coming up in North Carolina, in Canada. Make sure you go to jasonsisneros.com, go to the events. I would love to see you in person. The greatest thing about this podcast is that we eventually end up somewhere where I'm on stage and we're able to hug each other and get to know each other and we become family. Everybody that shows up on Saturday, for the most part, I've met you all, right? I've met you all, and we've met in person, etc. It's very important that we get in each other's face in real life, IRL, right? That's really, really exciting and powerful. Okay, cool. So growthcourse.com for the built to exit system. For those of you that want to hold yourself accountable, you want predictable systems in your business. That's great. jasonsisneros.com for all of the other things. And built-to-exit.biz. You can request the 50 question assessment tool there. And you can also get our show notes every single week. So once again, thank you all very much. Thank you for sharing the show. Thank you for being consistent. Thank you for wanting to get real information, real applicable, practical things that you can apply to your business on a week-to-week basis. I'm watching your companies grow. I'm watching you be more successful. I'm watching you get to know each other. I'm watching you do business and scratch checks back and forth to each other, give each other credit cards for the stuff that you do instead of giving it to unethical capitalist companies. I'm watching this community grow into exactly what it needs to, which is an advocacy group for the rest of small businesses, SMEs. 0 to 499 employees. That's who we are. 33 million here in the US, hundreds of millions of us around the world. We got to band together. We are the future. I love you. Have an amazing week. See ya.